Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, July 12th, 2020. Fire potential impacts for the next couple of days are shown here. For this afternoon, we're looking at increased winds over far western Nevada and then across the southern tip of the Great Basin. And we're looking for another round of isolated, generally dry thunderstorms over southern and eastern Utah. These will occur mainly over the higher elevations and will be generally dry. Some breezy winds are expected again over eastern Idaho, but the relative humidities aren't quite as low there. On Monday, the winds pick up across a larger area of the southern Great Basin, including up into eastern Great Basin as well, and we may still see some very isolated thunderstorms lingering over far eastern Utah. On Tuesday, the winds lighten up and our threat for thunderstorms decreases, and so we aren't expecting any significant impacts on Tuesday. Precipitation and lightning for the past 24 hours is shown here, with some just light precipitation mainly over the southern Utah mountains and a few lightning strikes there as well. Current fire activity is shown here. Over the past 24 hours, we did see quite a bit of activity in northern Utah and in a larger fire along the Sierra front. ERCs have been on the upward trend all week. We continue to see ERCs popping up above the 97th percentile for a number of stations across central and southern Utah and into southeast Nevada as well. Many of these areas are beginning to set new historical records for the time of year due to the continued hot and dry air mass that's been in place over the southern Great Basin. A closer look at these values for the Sierra front show those values much above normal for the time of year, over the 90th percentile, and closing in fast on those historical records. And same for northwest Utah, where we've been seeing fires pop up over the last week or so. Those values are above normal and getting really close to the historical maxes. This morning's satellite imagery continues to show a broad area of high pressure in place over the southwest and south central portions of the U.S. We can see a little bit of moisture in place over southern and eastern Utah, which will allow for another round of thunderstorms to develop again this afternoon. Very dry air mass still in place over much of northern and central Nevada. And we're seeing very warm temperatures, hot temperatures underneath this high pressure, especially over central and southern Utah and Nevada. Further north, we have this low pressure trough moving into the Pacific Northwest. That's what's increasing our winds across the south, especially today and tomorrow. And we will see some slight cooling into the northern half of the Great Basin as this trough moves through, mainly Monday into Tuesday. So for this afternoon, we do have high risk issued for far western Nevada, portions of southeast Nevada and southwest Utah for those gusty winds, and then also highlighting much of southern and eastern Utah for the isolated dry thunderstorms. We're not expecting huge amounts of thunderstorms, but they could pop up anywhere in these red areas, and so we're highlighting all of that area in southern and eastern Utah. Closer look at the winds, showing the strongest gusts there right along the Sierra front, and then a bit of an increase over southern Utah. These deeper purples here indicate maybe outflows from thunderstorms that develop this afternoon, and then some strong winds there in eastern Idaho and western Wyoming as well. The forecast from the Weather Service is highlighting these areas in light green, where we're expecting to see those thunderstorms develop this afternoon. On Monday, the trough from the Pacific Northwest moves to the east, but will continue to bring gusty winds across the south, even stronger winds tomorrow than today. So we do have high risk issued for southern Nevada and southern Utah, even eastern Utah for those gusty winds up into the Uinta Basin, and then a few little lingering isolated thunderstorms again on Monday, and we have those high risk triggers for those thunderstorms. By Monday, as that trough moves through, we can expect to see temperatures cool just a bit from today's very warm temperatures across the central Great Basin. The winds on Monday really increase, especially across southern Utah, with gusts up to 45 miles an hour. And we'll see those winds increasing over eastern Utah as well. On Monday, really just looking for some very isolated thunderstorms along the far eastern Utah border. Dry elsewhere across the area. And on Tuesday, lighter winds will filter in to the region and moisture moves off to the east, and so we're just looking for warming and drying region-wide. We might see some lingering breezy winds over eastern Utah and down into the Arizona Strip on Tuesday as winds lighten up elsewhere. Relative humidities are still going to be quite low, really for the entire week, especially over in Nevada. Single-digit relative humidities continue with higher RHs over the higher elevations of Utah, but still fairly low across the low elevations. The 3-day precipitation totals are shown here with just some very light precipitation amounts expected over far southern and eastern Utah for the next couple of days, mainly today and into tomorrow with those isolated thunderstorms. On Wednesday, warm zonal flow will continue across the area with dry conditions and very warm temperatures. On Thursday, we may see another surge of moisture move up into the southern Great Basin. We have highlighted that moisture with some high risk for lightning on Thursday across southern and eastern Utah once again. So we'll be keeping an eye on this moisture to see if it moves any further into the Great Basin. But that's the next day. We're looking for an increase in thunderstorm activity. That's Thursday. And then on Friday, we may see some lingering moisture. It looks like we have a better chance of maybe seeing some actual precipitation with the moisture next weekend into these areas. And that may decrease the overall dryness in some of those PSAs. Elsewhere, continued dry, especially over Nevada and northern Utah, with warm temperatures region-wide. More of the same expected on Saturday. A little bit of moisture still remains in place underneath that ridge as it centers itself a little bit further north over the Great Basin. 7-day precip totals for now are just highlighting what we're expecting in the short term with that precipitation over southern and eastern Utah, mainly today into tomorrow. The extended forecast from the Climate Prediction Center for July 19th through the 25th is calling for above normal temperatures across the entire Great Basin, this time spreading further west into California and the Pacific Northwest, and below normal chances for precip over almost the entire western and central U.S. And this concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.